Okay, so hi, I'm White or Oak from Placeholder Gameworks. 2 years ago, we released a game called Death and Taxes. Some of you may have heard of it. And now we're working on a new game called Broken Alliance. And if you have ever played a game called Heroes of Might and Magic, one of those games, or Age of Wonders, for example, then what you're about to see might ring some bells for you. And there is a reason for that. And we want to take the adventure strategy genre and take it to a more modern approach. And this is what we have so far. This is a demo that we made for Mango.de and JSON also, which was a surprise. And we basically produced the entire demo in about 3 weeks. We obviously worked a little bit before that, but the main sprint for the demo was about 3 weeks. So this is what we came up with. And it's fully voice acted because we can do that. This is the game. It's in a very kind of lo-fi pixel art style. What we're looking for is a fairy tale style of visual that would convey the high fantasy setting of the game. And we also want it to be a little bit dark. So if you're thinking about fairy tales, think more about like Brothers Grimm and Hans Christian Andersen and stuff like that. But we still want to have a little bit of lightheartedness and humor and hope in the game. So we also want to have a little bit of color. The game, yes. So we're trying a few new things in the game. You can click and drag your hero now. You don't have like an exclusive movement area. So that means during each of your turns, you can move your hero around an infinite amount of time. So if you have stuff to do, you can do it without having to pass days just because reasons. Right now, there's actually not that big of a point for having the turns, but it's an important part of the game in the longer term because you will have stuff such as resource income. So there are lumber yards or sawmills, as they used to be called in the Heroes games, and there's an ore mine, and there's a couple more resources that you can pick up and eventually spend. So I'll just do a quick playthrough of most of this. And the goal of the demo is to explore and gather resources so that you can build up an army. And I'm going to cheat here. I'm just going to go here and then talk to this guy. Okay, so basically their home got destroyed and now you can rebuild their home, which is this little thing. And to do that, you can also drag and drop resources. So what we want to do with this game is have it have a more kind of tactile feel, more akin to board games, that you're moving pieces of a strategic map on a physical map, kind of. So you have those guys with you now, and they can help you unravel an ancient mystery. But first, we need to loot, because obviously, let's see if, God, touchpads are interesting with click and drag. Yeah, and we have some placeholder music in for the game as well. We recently also got a first teaser for the main menu title theme, which I might actually have you listen later, and maybe you can give some feedback on it. But we're trying to design and produce this game from a user experience point of view. So we want to take the user experience first. So we're prototyping all of the very basic input stuff that the player is going to do hundreds, thousands times over in the game, and try to make them as convenient and pleasurable as possible. So there's also, if you remember from old Heroes games, a puzzle mechanic, but it's a little bit different. And oh shit, hang on, I forgot one thing. I'm just going to grab this little resource over here. Yes. So it's all very insidious. the stuff that's happening here. There's some corrupted ground that you can't really pass. That's kind of your quest right now, to gather resources to figure out a plan how to remove this corrupted ground. And to do that, you have to solve a riddle. And this riddle is composed of 4 lines. And basically what you have to do is drag and drop all of these resources in the right order to unlock the puzzle. So let's try and do that right now. Yes. So I'll just collect the pieces of the riddle. And 3 is enough. So we have the orb that makes you see. This is this one. Life awakens. Well, this looks like very alive. Thorns will make you bleed. Oh, so this looks kind of bloody. And the only thing left are these 3 resources, the wood, the ore, and black rock. And we'll just use this one. Yay! I'm cheating because I know the solution to the puzzle. So what you got is basically an artifact, and in the final game, you will be able to choose what to do with the artifacts. You can choose to use them, to equip them on your hero, and they will also show up on your hero. So if you grab this artifact in the final game and then equip it, then your hero is actually going to carry it into battle. So you will see it on the character. And here, you basically, the only thing you can do is sacrifice the dagger to remove the corruption from the land. Voila, the way is clear now. And then you already see like the shade of the bad guy. So there's this ominous dude here who is basically keeping you from your town. And then you have to attack him. And then combat would start if we would have it. But it's not implemented yet. So that's what we're going to be working on in the next 3 months. So for Gamescom 2022, we want to have fully playable, like also a kind of short demo that would also have a combat section in the game. But for now, this is going to be the end of the demo. Bam. Yeah, and that's the progress for it right now. Cool. Does anybody have any questions? Yes. So we started, so Lena and I started like pre-production of the game last year in March, around March. Then that was the point where we decided, okay, let's take this as the next project. And then we slowly started hiring more people on it. And we started like active production last autumn, around September, October, something like that. Currently it's 9 people. And some of them are part-time, some of them are full-time. There's 5 people who are absolutely full-time. And we might even have some more people come aboard because we have 3 artists right now, then 2 programmers basically, then a writer, a musician, I'm probably forgetting someone, designers, 2 designers, one of them who is sitting right there. And yeah, that should be most of it. Yes.
You mentioned prototyping.
Yes.
What's your favorite way of prototyping? How do you work with prototyping?
We do rapid prototyping usually. So we basically carve out like a section of a design, and then we take it into pieces, discuss the implementation of it, like programmers and designers, and sometimes also art if they are included. And then it's the same process for art actually. And then we take that slice and implement it, see how it works, and then put it in with the rest of the stuff. And that's pretty much how we have done all of the different parts right now. We did it for the tile grid. We did it for the interactable objects, the movable objects. We did it for the resource system. And that's pretty much what we have right now. And then the next step is going to be the combat system. And we're going to use a more like rapid iterative style there as well. Usually most of it gets incorporated or it gets like stashed So we still try to keep the code base quite lean. So we do cleanups after we have implemented something, usually. Sometimes it doesn't really need to be that cleaned up, because the cleanup would probably need to happen after we connect it to some of the more future features, basically. Any more questions? Yeah, so that's one of the things that is lacking the most right now is tutorializing the user experience. And we saw it from the live demos as well. Some people just sat down in the chair and like immediately knew what to do without even reading it. But we do have like tutorial messages in the game. So in theory, if you read through all of the dialogue, that also includes some tutorial messages in the end, then you should be able to go through the demo without too much hassle. And but again, this is not the most user-friendly style. So that's something we're actually going to put more emphasis on going into further production, especially for our next like bigger milestone for the Gamescom demo, is to make sure that if a person sits down in like a booth at a convention, they can just sit down. They don't have to talk to anybody, and then they can just play the game. So yeah, that's going to be a very important focus for us because it is a strategy game. It is a little bit dense and front loaded with the mechanics, and we're trying to find ways how to make it a little bit, ease the player a little bit more into the mechanics.
Very, very busy and detailed and like
Yes, and also signs and feedback in terms of like visuals is something that we're going to be working on as well to make things more clear on what is interactable, what is foliage, because everything looks really pretty, but you don't necessarily know what you can actually interact with. So yeah, that was one of the most pertinent pieces of feedback that we also gathered from the conventions that we were at for the events. Anything else? Okay. Awesome. Thank you.